Okay, I guess we're on. How's everybody doing? Welcome to what I think is episode 11 of Church Checkpoints. It's like 10, 11, or 12, somewhere in there. We lost track at this point. But anyways, welcome back to the podcast. We're in the heat of summer here. We got a heat wave in New Jersey. It's in the mid 90s, probably going to get up to 100 pretty soon. So if we lose power here, it's probably because the AC has been running for like 48 hours. Anyway, hope everyone is doing good. And that's an interesting segue because today I have with me on the podcast Hope. How you doing, Hope?
I'm doing well. How about you, John?
I'm doing good. So for those of you that don't know, Hope is Pastor Ben's wife, and this is her first time on the podcast. So I'm going to give her an opportunity to introduce herself, how she came to the church, how she met Pastor, anything else she wants to say.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Ben and I met in a church that I grew up in. He was the youth pastor at the time. I had just come back from college, and he was the youth pastor for my siblings, but I didn't know him as the youth pastor. But I came back after college and kind of was really not feeling like I knew where God was leading me. So I just needed someone young in the church because our church at the time was decently more mature in age. So I just needed someone young that may or may not have been in my shoes, kind of seeking after God, but not really sure how to do that. So he kind of plugged me into the youth ministry as a way of kind of serving and getting connected with other people. And then we fell in love and got married and moved to New Jersey. So here we are. But God, I think, truly brought us to LifeGate specifically. There's just been so many confirmations over the past couple of years that have just confirmed that we're supposed to be here, I think. So God is really good. He knew what he was doing. I never would have picked New Jersey, never would have picked LifeGate not that LifeGate looked bad at all, but it never would have crossed my mind to be here in New Jersey. So purely was a God thing, and I think he's very much confirming that we're supposed to be here. So
wow. So do you come from like a more of a small church background or a large church background, or?
So it's funny you say that. The church that I grew up in started very small, probably just a few people, then grew over time, but it is over, I think they had their 200th anniversary. Gosh, I hope that's correct.
Wow.
It's like they just had it this past May, I think, that they launched, so I think 200 years ago, I think. I could be getting that number wrong. Anyway, it was very small when my mom and dad first started going there. I was around 5 or 6 when we started going, and then it just really exploded. Pastor Jeff really had a vision for a building project, I remember growing up, and that just really took the church to the next level, and God really moved and worked there. It was small, and then it got to be around 500 to 600 people. So coming from that to here was a little bit of an adjustment, but
the small churches are different.
It is just different,
I've talked about that with several people, and it's like I came from a much bigger church. It's like a 700-person church, and like you can kind of disappear into the crowd in that kind of church. And like the first day I came here, it was like 15 people all wanted to like meet me at the same time, and I was like, okay, this is a totally different kind of environment here.
Sure is. You can't hide here. Yeah, you will be seen and you will be known. But that's also beautiful. I think that people are really looking for that type of connection when they come to a small church. So
yeah, and it's also good if you're looking to like get into something and to help with something, because typically there's more help needed in a smaller church because there's not as many shoes to fill those roles. In a larger church, sometimes you have the opposite problem where there's so many people that want to be doing that you actually kind of have to like push and shove in a very Christianly way to try and get into something, Yeah,
it's very true. Very true.
So how long have you guys been here? Because I know when I came here, I want to say I've been here like 2-ish years, but you guys were already here. So how long have you been here?
So we moved in December of 2022. I think he was installed though in October of 2022. So what is that? That's a couple.
So that's about
almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I can't believe it's been almost 4. I mean, sometimes it feels like we've always been here. Like it just feels like this is our home now. And yet there are other times I'm like, wow, I've been in New Jersey. I've had a New Jersey license for 4 years. What is this? I've had to navigate New Jersey drivers for 4 years and survived.
Yeah,
Incredible.
That's crazy. Yeah. And the bad part about New Jersey is that we have people that serve gas to us, and when we go anywhere else, it's a whole different world where we have to do it ourselves, and it's like, wait, how do I do this again? I'm always like, do I go in to pay first? Do I pay here? I don't know where I pay at. and then I'm trying to figure it out. But
I low-key was a little bit scared moving to New Jersey. I'd lose my skills, that people would just do it themselves, and I would not know how to do it anymore. But
yeah. So anyway, it's great to have you on. And I just want to ask, sort of like up top, was there anything about the sermon? Did you get to hear the sermon this week, or?
Thankfully, I was in service this week. Yeah,
okay.
Not in the nursery. Which is cool.
Any like big ideas or just things off the top that stood out to you, or?
I always take notes whenever I'm in service, just because I feel like I just want to be able to remember things a little bit more clearly. And when you're hearing it in real time, I think, you can hear something and then not remember it as well later. So one thing that I did take away from the message was Ben's definition of mercy, which was, I think he called it love in action, or compassion in action, I'm sorry. And I just thought that was so beautiful and so accurate that it just is something that you can't even almost help. It's just this mercy that just flows out, and it just causes action. And I just thought that was really beautiful.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, like the differentiation that Pastor was making between like mercy and sympathy, where sympathy is more of kind of like an emotional feeling that's more passive, and mercy is more of an active act that still has emotion tied to it. And I did want to ask, like, does he ever like bounce ideas for you for the sermons like early? Like how does that really work? Or is he like, no, I'm going to do this all myself? And
he can very much do it all himself. I think he likes to have someone else's perspective at times. So frequently he'll say, can you just tell me what you think about this? Does this sound weird? Does this sound like it makes sense?
Does he give you like an A or a B, and like which of this do you like better, or?
Not so much an A or B, more like
okay.
I'm thinking this direction. Do we like this? Do we not like this? And not so much in that clear of a term, but just kind of I think he relies a lot on the Holy Spirit to direct what his message will be. So I think just kind of maybe looking for that extra confirmation of like, does this sound good? And all the time I say yes.
Yeah.
I just think he has a way with words, but sometimes needs that extra thought process.
Yeah. Okay, so I do want to start us off with a bit of scripture here and go over the scriptures that we needed for the week. So we were in Matthew 5, 7 through 9 this week. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, we've been going through Matthew chapter 5 for the whole summer, and then we'll be kind of continuing next summer with chapter 6 and 7. So this week our verses are, blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. So let's get into the first point. The first point in the sermon is that kingdom people give the mercy that they have received. And the discussion that I kind of want to have about this is, do you feel like there's like anywhere where we kind of miss the ball with mercy, either from an individual perspective or from like a collective church perspective? Like, is there somewhere that we need to be focused on showing mercy?
What's coming to my mind right now is loving our enemies. I feel like it's very hard to show mercy to someone that has not necessarily shown us mercy. At least I know in my life that's particularly hard for me. So, I think that's where I know I very much can miss that, and I have to actively think about, okay, I have to really reorient myself to Christ and what He has done for me, and thinking along those lines, then I can let down my armor and exude mercy. But that is a challenge for me, certainly.
Yeah, I like that point, because I think when you're dealing with people who are antagonistic to you, your tendency is to focus on that mano-a-mano relationship and not to like remember that God is sort of above, has already given you mercy, right? And so you kind of constantly have, this relationship with God that should be dictating something to you. But I think we have a tendency to kind of focus away from that when we're actively involved with someone else. And especially when it's something antagonistic, because it just sort of becomes like the zero-sum game, and then it's like, well, either I can have it or you can have it. We can't both have it, so who's going to have it?
Yeah.
And then it's hard to kind of, remember that, wait, you've been given so much already.
Yeah.
You need to give back.
Yeah, I know for myself, I have to keep looking up and just reorienting myself to who I actually am, which is no one except for Christ. And because of that, everything else then falls into place. But I very often will take my eyes off of the goal of serving the Lord. And I just have to keep like that reflexively. I just have to keep looking up. So
yeah,
very much identify with that.
And I think like sometimes for me too, like it becomes an issue of, okay, I can emotionally I can do the mercy, but then I don't want to act on that side of the equation, because either it'll make me look weak, or it'll put me in a bad position. I don't want to give somebody an upper hand over me, something like that. And so that active part too becomes like a bit of an issue, like in its own right, like apart from just having the emotional part of it.
I totally agree. I also will be worried that if I show mercy, then will they expect that? And then that's just like I get stuck in this thing of like I'd forever have to just feel like a doormat or something. Like I then could get worried about that. I could see myself doing that. So
yeah, definitely. So let's move on to the second point that we had in our sermon this week, which is that kingdom people pursue God with an undivided heart. And I thought that a really cool analogy that Pastor brought to light in the service, he was talking about, your cell phone, and your cell phone's got all these different apps on it, right? And all these different apps are doing things in the background, even when you're not really on them, right? And so even though you're not really cognizant about it, all of a sudden, your phone fills up with all these apps, and all these apps are draining your battery and running tests in the background. And then all of a sudden, your phone starts to slow down over time. It's not working so great anymore. And so it was a real good analogy, because Pastor tied that into kind of our hearts, and our hearts get filled up with all these different things that we're doing. And then we don't even realize like how many different things we have going on. And it becomes like this divided heart for us that really makes it hard to focus on God. So I wanted to have a discussion on like how do we get like a personal balance that allows us to not be divided, and sort of how do we thread that needle with sort of being in the world, because obviously God calls us to be evangelists. He calls us to go out and spread the word. So you can't just, stay home, stay locked in a bubble, and not associate with anybody. Like that's not really the answer, as much as we might want it to be sometimes, right? Especially if we're, behind the scenes people who don't want to associate with people. But, so that's not really the answer. But at the same time, I think you can go too much to the opposite side, where you're, trying to hang around with everybody and go to everything. And so like, I think there's sort of like a middle balance there. But what's your take on it?
Yeah, it's really challenging. And I think it's a daily thing for me to have to, again, reorient myself to who I am in Christ. But taking that time to really connect with the Father is so key, I think. For years, I feel like people told me, like, you just have to get up in the morning and do a devotional. That's the first thing that you're doing is this devotional. And I don't know about you, but I'm super tired in the morning. Like, I'm not going to be able to retain anything. It just feels like I'm doing this thing out of obligation.
What time in the morning do you want me to do this?
Yeah,
exactly?
right.
Am I awake yet?
Yeah, right. Have I had coffee? So for me, everybody's lives are busy. My life is chaos all the time with this toddler and working and being here and all the things. So I intentionally use my car as my altar, which is weird because we live in New Jersey and everyone drives crazy. But I do think that when I just have to get into that right heart posture of, okay, this is the time that I'm going to speak to the Lord, and know that every time I get in the car when no one else is in the car with me, that's my time to pray and to really connect. and try to listen to what God has to say.
It is
So-
a good like isolation spot,
Yeah.
because your car is kind of like a personal place to you. Because a lot of people,
Yeah.
you have your living space, but you
Yeah.
probably live with family or something like that, and then there's people around, or you're constantly thinking about what you have to do
Yep.
in the house.
Totally.
Oh, this is a mess. I should probably do something about that, and you're still not going to do it anyway, but you're still thinking you have to do it.
That's exactly. Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yes.
Right. And
It's
then
so
the car is just like, I feel like you're a little bit more kind of open when you're in the car.
Yeah.
So it's like you can sort of take that time. So that's real interesting.
Yeah, but just I think carving out specific times where I know that I'm going to be stationary, or that I don't really have to be thinking about anything else. I can just really focus. But I do think also God responds when we do set aside specific time, even in the midst of the chaos, like taking a break at work, and just going somewhere else and praying for 10 minutes, I think is helpful. At least for me, to just reorient myself back to like, okay, I'm still on mission here, even though my work is crazy and like things are happening and I have to do all these things. But wait, my first mission is to be in your will, and whatever that looks like, however that plays out, just trusting that God is still leading my steps, even in the midst of the chaos, and just reorienting myself, I think is helpful.
That's a great point. Like when I think about it now, you got me thinking about my job, and my job's crazy too. Like I'm running around the store all day, but you still kind of have like those little moments, I think, at work where like you can take a quick pause and sort of reorient. And I don't think I don't think my mind stays on that. Like I think my mind is just on the next work thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I need to do to get ahead? But I think that's a real good like strategy of kind of having that reorientation in those moments, and like I think staying cognizant to those moments is a really good idea.
Yeah, it's definitely helped me, and I think even when I get the most stressed, I can feel myself getting like, okay, I have 85,000 things to do right now, but wait, let me take a breath. Let me just check in with God really quick, because the work is still going to be there in 5 seconds. So let me just take a breath to connect, and then we can look at this from another perspective, hopefully.
Yeah.
It helps. Yeah.
And I think like sometimes I think like knowing sort of your role in God's kingdom, and kind of like who are you? Are you a hand? Are you a foot? Are you a head? Are you the ears? Like what's kind of that thing that makes you special, and like if you know that and can kind of lean into that, it's like I don't know about you, but like for me, when it's like when I get time to do like the things that I know are like pleasing to God, and I'm using my strengths, like that's always something that sort of like I think empowers my ability to sort of focus on that relationship.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think God gives us our gifts. I think He has given them to us with a purpose, not just for us, certainly, but for other people, and to bring about His kingdom. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
All right, so let's get into point 3 that we had this week, which is that kingdom people carry the family resemblance of their Father. And this is a lot about, we talked a lot this week in sermon, Pastor did, about like peacekeepers, peace breakers versus peacemakers, and that we really need to strive to be peacemakers. And he talked kind of bad about the peacekeepers, which I feel like I am.
Oh, same.
And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but he was talking a lot about that. He's like, now peacekeepers, sometimes they think they're peacemakers and they're really not, right? And so maybe I had to take that a little bit personal, but okay.
It was a hard truth for me to hear,
That's
I
sort
will
of
say.
right. It was that was like the hard part of the sermon. Thankfully he took that, kept it till the end. But yeah. So I definitely feel like for me anyway, I end up sort of falling into that peacekeeper line where I'm sort of like the diplomat. I want everything to run smooth and orderly. I don't want things going crazy and chaotic. I'm not a big person for chaos. And I get the feeling that might be more along the lines of where you're at, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, especially conflict. Yeah, I will run the opposite direction of conflict every time, if it were up to me, which I know is not the right way to do that. But
yeah. So, And it was interesting, though, thinking about being a peacemaker and thinking about having to be active in bringing peace. And I think, how do we kind of get that active mindset? What do you think is kind of important for that?
Yeah. In terms of peacemaking, I think stepping into it is probably the first step, right? Is just acknowledging that this is chaos and crazy and whatever, but Lord, I feel like I keep using that same phrase, reorienting myself, but I do think that, like, I have to just check in, like, okay, what is my role? Is my role to be in the middle of this? Is my role to say a kind word and just kind of alleviate tension here? Is it to mediate between parties? Is it to fix a relationship by apologizing? Like, what is it that you would want me to do, Lord? And truly obeying whatever he lays on your heart in that moment.
Sort of taking charge of what you can take charge of, where it relates to you. Yeah. I think that's a good point. Like, obviously, like Pastor was talking about too, like, we can't fix every problem. We can't, can't paper over like every divide, but I think, like, it's important to seek out the origin of the conflict, right? Like, I feel like to really understand, like, where is the other side coming from? Like, what's informing this viewpoint? Like, what's kind of behind it, And I think a lot of times, like, we don't want to go to there because it's uncomfortable, or because we don't, want to admit the shallowness of our own ideas sometimes. But it's real interesting having to think about peacemaking versus peacekeeping. And the other thing that I kind of wanted to have a discussion on here, because I sort of thought about it later, is that to me, like, when I hear blessed are the peacemakers, like, a lot of times I think we have a tendency to think like things that we're involved in. But I also kind of feel like it also relates to just in general, even if there's conflict that you're not involved in necessarily, like, we are called to make peace between people that, even if it's not necessarily our situation. So what do you think about that?
I think that is our job, as much as it relies on us, of course, because we can't fix everything. But I think that as much as we can, if we can help create an environment of peace, whether that means cleaning up after someone that, I don't know, that dropped trash somewhere, that seems super small, or is it mediating between two parties that need to talk about something, or not necessarily meddling, because that does sound like meddling as I'm saying that out loud, but more just creating an environment of peace, and reorienting everybody back to the Father.
I think about, and I don't know if it's necessarily the best inference here, but I kind of think about, like, Jesus when Peter cuts off the soldier's ear, and then Jesus heals his ear, because it's kind of like a conflict between Peter and the soldier, right? And then Jesus is sort of there making the peace there,
Sure is.
And so that was something that that stood out to me. But I do have kind of a funny question for you here at the end. So Pastor Ben was talking in the service, and he was talking about, sometimes I just have to go into a closet and, like, sing worship songs or something. And I'm sitting here like, is Pastor Ben, like, in a closet at home? Like, do you randomly walk in and, like, hear him singing worship songs? Like, how great is our God, sing with me. Like, I'm
First
just
of all,
curious.
That was lovely. No, it's just lovely. He does love his worship, and he really does have an amazing voice. I'll be the first to tell you. That's how we fell in love, actually, was he sang in the church. It was, anyway, he has a lovely voice. So he doesn't have a prayer closet, which is not an uncommon, I think, thing, but our house is kind of small. But he totally would. If he had a prayer closet, he would be in there jamming.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been great having you on this week.
Thank you so much.
I think everyone will be looking forward to this episode. So, guys, stay tuned. We're going to have another 3 or 4 weeks before we go on a break in August. We're going to break our midweek here at the church is also going to break, so we're going to break along with them. And then we will be back in the fall. But stay tuned.